Everybody, this is Hammy and Burger from the 5D Podcast. This is our first time episode, and we are basically going to be talking about everything that everybody else is thinking, but is too shit scared to talk about, and nobody else is saying it, so we're going to. And also going to be covering some deep subjects and topics and things that really mean a lot to us.
And possibly some controversial things as well.
Yeah,
we're here to have to talk about the hard questions that nobody wants to ask or talk about. So, we're not saying we know everything. We certainly don't. That'd be arrogant to think that. But we do know a fair bit. We've been down quite a few rabbit holes a million times. But I'm sure many of you have been as well. So let's get started. So I'm Steve. Yeah. I'm Burger from Canada, and Hammy here is from the UK.
Yes.
Take it away.
Originally from South Africa, but I've lived in the UK since I was 7, so hence the accent. It's not quite South African, but you might hear a twang now and again. I'm sure you get to know a lot more about us throughout the podcasts going on into the future. I'm sure there'll be bits that come out in conversation. And I'm looking forward to starting this journey with you, Burger, and the community. And we'll just see where it goes. Because I'm hoping this podcast is going to open some eyes and it's going to benefit a lot of people on a spiritual level and on an everyday level. And with regards to what we said a couple of weeks ago on the deep end of things, the spiritual stuff, I think that it can benefit a lot of people. And that's why we decided to do this podcast, really, because we want to give our perspective to the world and offer it and see if that perspective can help a lot of people, because I feel freed by it and Burger feels freed by it. And if we can help as many people as we can to be living in their full potential, then that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And we're also going to just shoot the shit in between. So why not?
Yeah, we're pretty cash around here. I'm going to have a cigarette and maybe smoke a joint. So I'm going to put that out there for everybody right off the bat. That's what I like to do. So
yeah, and it's legal in Canada, isn't it? So
absolutely,
you're all good. You're all good, brother. Unfortunately, over here it's not, but I don't smoke it anyways, so we're all good. I smoke my vape, so
cool.
It's all good, brother.
So where do we want to get started today? I was thinking, for a lot of people out there that have been down the rabbit hole, in my experience, just doing this full time, and I mean that literally full time, 16, 18-hour days fighting for freedom, because there's not a lot of work out here these days, but I found that a lot of these rabbit holes, if you went deep enough, if not all of them, seem to come back to spirituality. Now, the reason I say this is because we know this is a war on our spirit, our soul. This is what they want. Most people don't know that we're even in a war, but we definitely are, and that they're after two things. They're after children, and they're after our souls. And it's just, I find it very strange how all the rabbit holes, they just seem to always lead back to that, to the spiritual side of things. So when you think that, the deep state, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, they're obviously very satanic. They do very evil things. They run the governments. They don't care about us. We know this. But my thing is that they care so much about, they bow down to Satan. They're Satanists. They worship Satan. And they care so much to destroy Christianity in all its forms. We know that they've been shutting down churches and arresting pastors and They've targeted Christians and churches first. So when you think about that, for those of you that don't think that Satan or God exist, they most certainly do. Otherwise, the deep state, the cabal, whatever you want to call them, wouldn't be doing this. That's who they pray to. And so if Satan exists, then God would technically have to exist, theoretically. You cannot have one without the other. The good versus the evil, the dark versus the light, the yin versus the yang, right?
Mm.
So, I mean, I'm not sure what I believe on this. I want to say I believe in God, but I don't think God is who we've been told he is or what he's been told he is.
Mm.
Like it's not. They want us to picture a magic man sitting in the clouds or in the sky in a golden castle with fluffy clouds and shit like that, right? But is
Mm.
that truly who God is? They say God is within us.
Mm.
Um, so what it was interesting because I seen a video the other day that basically said, so if there's a creator, um, how would a very powerful creator, omnipotent God that created Earth and the solar system and whatnot, right? How would he wouldn't be able to experience his own creation because he created it, kind of a thing, right?
Yeah.
So how would somebody so powerful be able to create or experience their own creation? Well, he would build avatars, and those avatars would be everything on Earth. It'd be me. It'd be you. It'd be the blades of grass. It'll be the rocks. It'll be the mountains. It'll be a tree. It'll be an insect. It'll be a molecule or an atom. It'll be the
Mm.
sky. It'll be everything. So think of everything as an avatar. And so in this life, in this creation, in this 3D Earth realm that we're living in, when God says that there's a God in every one of us, he means that literally because we actually are God. We are him. So pretend it's just God that's broken off like a little piece of himself and put it
Yeah.
into all of us.
Like
And that's what's
leaves on.
controlling us. So he
Yeah.
wants us to succeed because it's in his best interest, because the better we do, the better he does.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, and I think that will help a lot of people, and that's exactly what we were speaking about a couple of weeks back. And it takes a lot. Like I grew up in a very Christian, strictly Christian household, right?
Me too. Me too.
Um, my whole family was very religious, and that's great. I still acknowledge the faith of Christianity. I believe that Jesus is real. I believe that his teachings were he did come down, he came to earth and manifested in that body, and he came to help people. But my views have changed slightly over the years, where it's not as black and white as the church has made it out to be. Oh, look at that beautiful sight. See, speaking about God and trees.
Right? Exactly.
um, it's not all the church is made out to be, and there's a reason for that, because obviously they want people in boxes and they want to control the narrative. And how do they do that? By creating the narrative. And over hundreds of years, many generations, people start believing that this is the truth, that's not the truth. And then before you know it, you've got control mechanisms in place, controlling populations, and it's covering the core truths that began with those beliefs, like Gnosticism, which was what Christianity was in the beginning. And it's a mystical version of Christianity. And you got 60 something, I think it's 67 books that were taken out of the original Bible that
Yeah,
reveal.
I'm not sure on the exact number.
It's around 60 odd books that were taken out of the Bible. And a lot of those books go into the deeper stuff, the more deep spirituality of what what Berger was saying.
Whatever, man. I don't care. You know what? Just whatever. It's all good.
What Berger was saying about how actually we could just be components of the creator in our own avatars, like leaves on a tree. It doesn't mean we're the tree, we're just a part of the tree.
Right.
We're just like one form of God, in its infinite vastness of reality. And
Right.
Jesus happened to be a highly vibrational avatar, same as Muhammad or Buddha or Moses or
Or Archangel Michael or anything really.
yeah, or that really lovely dog you had as a kid that was just so special and there was something about him, you know?
Absolutely.
Anything. That old man on the side of the road who's homeless that always has a smile on his face and he gave you some of his food one day. Something like stuff like that. Like anybody really can be a holy person.
So,
And
so to put this in perspective, then, I mean, love is actually essential to everything. You know,
yeah.
it really is, because you have to be able to love yourself. This is the point. This is the point of our lives. So many people are willing to accept they eat, sleep, go to work, a little bit of entertainment, and rinse, repeat, and do it all over again. Right? Narrative. But we're better than that. That's not what we were intended for. I mean, everything on earth is free. Everything from gold to food is literally free, because that's what the earth provides. This is the creator, right?
Yeah. I agree with you on that, Burger, but at the same time my logical side kicks in and then I question, I think, okay, yeah, it's all free really ultimately, but how do you get those resources out of the earth? How do you get gold out of the ground? You need labor, you need people working, and people generally, they don't want to work unless they're rewarded with something. So that's when money was invented, because people needed a reason to do something, because they would then get promised a return for doing that hard work. But yeah, it is free because those resources are there. Um, but
Well, I actually, I kind of have to disagree with you on that. I mean,
yeah,
you're right to the extent that people, there's labor involved. I mean, everything is free. I should rephrase that. Everything is free, but you will have to put some labor into it.
mm,
So to go back to what you said about how the money was invented, well, people expect something. Somebody's got to mine that gold, and I get that, obviously. And there's equipment, and then you have the people that build the equipment to do that. They'll, but that's the thing, though, is first of all, a lot of the equipment we have would could be applied naturally if we weren't lied to, suppressed, and told about who we are and where we came from. I mean, if you look at how they built the temple or the pyramids,
mm,
how did they do that? Those are massive stones. Like I watched a video the other day where they got three of the biggest front end loader trucks that they had, and they couldn't lift a stone half that weight of the pyramid, right?
mm,
So how would they do that? So in that aspect, I'm suspecting that there's some ancient technology that could be used to help mine that said gold.
mm.
Now, as far as where money is introduced, again, maybe you're right, maybe you're not. I mean, we always had, what did we have before money was invented? I guess
Bartering.
I guess we had
Yeah,
gold. We had buy, sell, trade, and barter kind of a thing, right?
yeah, yeah.
So I think the monetary system, any kind of money, I mean they tell you right on the money, they show you the pictures of how satanic it is. It's I think in Hebrew or Latin is on the American dollar bill, some satanic bullshit. If you look closely, they're hanging black slaves on the same dollar bill, right? So, you know, there's got to be a better system out there, and I know we've had probably our ancestors had it, but I mean, again, that's a mindset. So, if we,
Mm.
I get that people, especially we've been programmed to believe that, oh well, if I'm going to work for you, I should get paid to do it. Um, but what if that mindset was changed where we didn't pay each other to do it, we just did it because we're a community, because we care, because somebody needed help. Maybe you need help digging this out. Okay, I'll come help you. And you know
Mm.
what? For your troubles, I'll cook you and your family a feast tonight or something. That kind of a thing, right?
I mean, I agree with you. That would be amazing if that could happen. But Burger, I've actually been in like a community myself, and you can see that in the ideal world, yeah, that's great. But people actually, not everyone agrees. Not everyone is a nice person. Not everyone wants to get along and put their effort in and for free, because a lot of people out there are selfish, unfortunately. You know.
Yeah, and that's the problem. And I'll tell you where the problem starts. I'll tell you exactly how you change that mindset. You and I will probably never see it in our lifetime. And this is if we changed it tomorrow. But that starts in the schools. That
Mm,
starts with your children. Because if you and I as children were taught as children to respect one another, to not be always after money, to love, to care, instead of sitting there being taught boring ass shit that is completely irrelevant when you're an adult and in life, but instead
mm,
focus on your talents, on your personal talents and your skills. Maybe one kid wants to play piano, maybe another one is a martial artist, maybe somebody else is a sculptor or an artist of some sort, right? So learn the basics: reading, writing, and arithmetic. Get some physical education. Teach the kids how how to grow gardens, build houses, right? So
mm.
when they're on their own, and then, I mean, that's where it starts. That's
True.
how you change the mindset of people. So it won't happen in our lifetime, but the next two generations, if that's what they were taught in schools and by parents, and the whole community pitched in on that sort of thing. They say it
Mm,
takes a village to raise a child, right? So if everybody did that, just like it was, our ancestors. I mean, I'm sure it's all bullshit, our history, but they claim that's what the Wild West was like. Everybody had a farm,
mm,
but if somebody's barn burnt down, the whole community went and put that fire out. If somebody
mm,
was starving, the ancient Indians, if you were starving, we fed you. If you were naked, we clothed you. If you were homeless, we built you a home.
mm.
That's
Yeah,
the mindset.
exactly.
That's where it starts.
Exactly. And I'm glad I questioned that, because that's what we were leading to, and that's really the crux of it. Because as humans, we're naturally giving beings. We want to help others, and it's our indoctrination as children that guides how we are and how we become as adults. So if
Exactly.
if you're brought up to not respect other people, if you're brought up to just get away with blue murder and swear at your parents and swear at people and eat sweets all the time and fight with people and get your way every time, then you're going to grow up into being a very nasty, selfish person. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people like that these days, because there's been
Well, we're all dependent on money. Money is the root of all evil because
mm,
we need it to survive. You can't pay your rent without it. You can't go to work without it. Because we're not taught that actually you could do everything you're doing now without money.
mhm. Yeah, and do you know what's funny? This morning, I was actually speaking to my wife on the way back from dropping the kids off at school, and we spoke exactly about this. I was saying, isn't it funny how our grandparents were all taught at school basics of etiquette, manners, how to do basic basic life survival training, how to iron your clothes, how to clean water, how how to speak to people with respect and your elders. And I said, that's why our grandparents were like the last generation of people that actually said, yes, sir, yes, ma'am, open the door for people. And that's why they were different. And they're like, oh, back in my day, that's because back in their day, schools used to teach that. But slowly over time, the system has become corrupted, and the things that mattered and do matter have been replaced with just like a standard model of just get them in school and get them out as quickly as possible. It's not more, it's no longer about let's teach the children what's going to actually enlighten them as individuals and adults and make them more powerful beings by being nice, positive, having manners, believing in themselves, being pillars of the community. Because what happens if you do that is then the whole community becomes stronger, and it's less, you're less able to control it. And there's certain groups that, sorry,
Which is where we find ourselves today, right? I mean,
yeah,
where everybody's dependent on the system, welfare, EI. Again, back to money, right? I mean, it's ridiculous, and now because you're dependent on that, they can take that away from you. And like, it's interesting. I forget where I heard this, but apparently there was a study done where they said that the actual real geniuses of the world are between the ages of 5 and I think 10 years old. Actually, I think it's less than that. Between 5 and 7 years old are true geniuses, like a really big IQ. And by the time they're finished the in school, the public school education indoctrination program, they're completely dumbed down. This is why we have kids that, ADHD. It's not ADHD. He's a little boy. He doesn't want to sit in fucking class listening to who the fuck cares what's going on in Japan when I'm in Canada. Okay? Teach, teach me how to go teach me how to hunt. Teach me how to grow a plant. I don't give a shit what they're drinking in Japan. That's not my concern. I mean, no offense to any Japanese out there or Japan, but like, let's get real. If your entire life and the entire system is dependent on money, then teach me how to balance a checkbook, to make the
yeah,
money. But they don't
yeah,
want to do that because then there goes their power, there goes their riches, and there goes their control over you. And I've been
yeah.
saying this probably for the last 4 years is we got to stop using their shit. I've been looking. I haven't built one yet. I'm working on. I got to get the equipment to do it. But I've been looking into building free energy. Why the fuck are we all paying so much money for something that's free to power your house when you could literally take a couple of spark plugs, solder them together up to a light bulb, and you light your house. You could take a magnet and copper wire and run your whole house off of that. I've seen it done. Okay, that's maybe not a copper magnet and wire. You get what I'm saying, right? But you can make it powerful enough to run your whole house. So why are we giving our money to these people? Because they bury the power lines and they have the equipment to install it and to dig it up when it's broken and bullshit like that. Well, then stop giving them that. I don't need your shit. I can build it myself.
But can I be devil's advocate, Burger?
Sure, sure.
Okay. I'm not gonna. I'm not obviously the elite or anything like that. But let me
I
just
get it.
pretend. Let me pretend I'm a billionaire right now, and I control cities across the world. Right, my
Yeah.
family goes back 10 generations, and we're all like ultra wealthy billionaires, right? And the people in our local towns that we own are just fucking slaves to us, and we don't give a shit about them because they're slaves, and we've bred them that way over generations, right? We couldn't give a monkey's ass as long as they bring home the bacon for us. Then we're good. But we need to keep them dumb. We need to keep them, sick, so that they keep buying our medicine, and we need to keep them in their boxes So how do you do that? You don't give them free power. You give them the shittest education possible so that they never wake up, and you keep them in their place by killing off the generations through wars, giving them medications for illnesses that make them more sick. That's how you keep slaves slaves. And if I'm a multi-billionaire, why am I going to want to make? I'm just devil's advocate here. This is what they think. Why do I? What benefits me by making my slaves as powerful as me? Because then I'm not going to be a master.
Right.
There we
and
go.
and that's the problem. And that's the problem. That you hit the nail right on the head, because that is the exact problem. This is why we're living the way we are in 2023, because
Mm,
a small amount of criminals have retained that much power and wealth, and they've
mm,
been hoarding it. And I get exactly what you're saying, and you're absolutely right. But again, we go back to, we have to start changing our mindsets. Of
mm,
course they're not going to teach us what their knowledge that they have. They're not going to
mm,
teach that to the general public. Why would they?
mm,
That's not in their best interest. But we as a society, we as people, we as humans, um, we need to change our way of thinking. We got to start educating ourselves. We got to start learning how to build our own free energy, because
mm,
I mean, you can literally pull it right out of the fucking air. You can
mm.
literally pull it right out of the air. You can pull water right out of the air, and it's very simple to do. You set up a fucking net in your backyard on two sticks, put a trough under it, and you'll collect water. It's that simple. Okay, so why are we giving all these people all of our money? Okay,
Yeah.
why are we not doing this on our own?
And the
Because we've been
water.
programmed and indoctrinated not to.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm with you on that, Steve. Burger. I need to stop doing that.
You know what? My name's Steve Berger. I don't care. It's cool.
Okay. All right. Um, so Burger, I'm with you on that, right? Part of me thinks logically with it, with devil's advocate. Let's think their side and our side and weigh it up in the middle. So my thinking is, I agree with you on that. That ultimately, the only way that we're going to progress as a species on this planet is if we elevate mankind. And really, realistically, there's always going to be a top dog. There's always going to be people that are, more educated, wealthier, more physically fit, more intelligent. That's the way of nature. There's always going to be, negatives and positives, the
Right.
best of everything and the worst of everything. That's just the way the universe is, right? But in order for us to, as a society and as a planet, right, to progress and to go on in the future without the world collapsing and the environment collapsing and us just being greedy, and you know we've got to change the old way of thinking. So it can't just be for the benefit of the few if we all want to survive.
Right.
It's got to be fair, and it's got to be, there's going to be top dogs. Of course there are. Even in an ideal system, there's going to be people at the top who are a bit better than everyone else at doing things. That's just natural. Are you good? You still there,
Yeah,
man?
yeah. Sorry, I shut my camera off for a quick sec here.
That's all right. There's always going to be, like athletes, like a footballer, right, or soccer player, or whatever you call it in America. There's always that one player who's a bit better than the other. That's just the way of nature, right? There's always a bear or a lion that's bigger than the other, that takes the other one out. I'm not arguing against that. What I'm saying is, when it becomes so unbalanced that the deer haven't got any chance of um, living in the future and the whole ecosystem collapses, that's when you got to say, right, okay, there's too many lions that have been murdering deer for too long. Let's have a word with them and say, listen, guys, you got to switch things up a bit and operate a bit differently so that you don't end up wiping out the whole jungle.
Right. Right.
Because yeah, and that's how I see it. Is I'm not saying they shouldn't be lions, but what I'm saying is they shouldn't just be allowed to destroy the jungle.
Well,
just because, you know?
and that's just it. And here's the problem too: is that's actually I find a very interesting point because we as humans aren't really destructive. We're not naturally destructive. We're not naturally filled with hate. Those are all learned things. Okay,
Yeah.
those are something that you're taught, whether you're taught directly or indirectly, and most of it is actually indirectly based on your own life experiences and traumas, and it's all based on trauma because somebody hurt you. Because we don't learn unless we're traumatized. I mean, think about it. When you were a child, what's the first thing you did? Oh, look at that pretty red burner. Put your hand on it. Well, now you're traumatized, so I guarantee you never put your hand on the hot burner again. So now look at it growing up. You get bullied in school, or even as an adult, you're told all this shit. You have to do this. You have to do that, and you're not really free to live your own life because you're constantly being told that there's always an authority over you, and that's just not true. And that's the problem with society, is that they think that there is an authority figure over them, whether it be a policeman, a government, a teacher, a parent, and that is just not true at all. I've learned a lot in the last 4 years, doing this kind of work, and
Mm.
I've just decided I'm not doing it anymore. I'm living my
Mm.
life the way I want, and I'll be damned if I'm letting any government, police officer, or anybody that thinks they have authority over me to tell me I can't do it. Because my attitude is, they say that what are we 123? The Earth is 123 trillion dollars in debt. To who? Who the fuck do we owe 123
Wow.
trillion dollars to?
That's a lot of
To
money.
ourselves? So when you
Mm.
look at it in that perspective, and then you realize that everything on Earth is free, but yet here we are, we have to pay for our land. Well, why do we have to pay for our fucking land? Who the
Mm.
fuck did you buy it from to make me pay you for it? Who sold you the land? Why can't I just go out to the middle of the fucking woods if I want, pick a plot of land, build my own fucking house, tell everybody to fuck off, leave me alone, and not get hassled without the government coming and saying I owe them taxes. No, you stole the land. Who the hell did I steal the land from? You're not fucking using it. It's at the top of a goddamn mountain. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and this is the programming that we've all been held in since we were children. We're told things as a child, but as a child, you don't have the capability to question it. Your brain isn't fully formed. So you're not going to question it because you automatically assume that your mother and your father have your best interest at heart. You depend on them to have your best interest at heart and not to harm you, and that they love you and care about you, because you're a child and without them you'll die. So as a
Mm.
child, when you go to these indoctrination camps known as public schooling, and they tell you certain things, but you just don't have the mind capacity to question it. You just accept it. So you grow up with it, with that acceptance. And that acceptance, that's where your programming, your indoctrination comes from. Because and I'm not going to get into this right now. This is another topic we could do another time. But
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
different. There's two perspectives on the shape of the Earth. A lot of people have different perspectives on the shape of the Earth. And my biggest question about, and I'm not going to get into it, but just for the
Yeah.
purpose of this question is some people think it's flat, some people think it's round. We weren't ever taught that it was flat. We were always taught it was round. But when did that teaching start? When you were a baby, probably before even kindergarten, you were told the Earth is round, and you're told that throughout your life. So nobody ever questions it. So now when you're an adult and you start to question what shape is the Earth, you look like a fucking idiot. You look like you should be in an insane asylum just because you asked that question, because everybody
Mm.
knows the Earth is fucking round. But is it? Maybe it's a fucking pyramid. Maybe it's in the shape of a boot. Maybe it's in the shape of somebody's asshole. I don't know. But as soon as you question it, you're told you're a conspiracy theorist, and you should be shot on sight, basically, right? But you get where I'm getting at. So it's the mindset that needs to be changed, and you can't teach an old dog
God.
new tricks. So you have to
Yeah.
start that with their children. I mean, they programmed us since children, but we could reverse that programming by doing the same thing, programming them in a positive way to learn what their creativities are and expand on that instead of sitting in a fucking classroom bored to tears, being told you're ADHD filled with all these drugs and poisons and pharmaceuticals, instead of just letting the kid go run his fucking energy off in the playground. Let him kick a soccer ball around.
Exactly, man. Because
not to go off on a rant or anything, though.
No, honestly, this podcast, that's what it's for, Burger. It's to speak about things that are on your mind, on your chest, and everyone else is thinking exactly the same thing. But they haven't got the right platform, or they're too afraid to voice their opinion, or they're getting, whatever. This is the right place.
Absolutely.
So, this is what's amazing about our concept. We're taking all these things that truly matter, and we're talking about it. And
absolutely.
I hope this can help a lot of people. I know it will. So get off whatever you think is on your mind. Just share it, man. There's total freedom here, for sure.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's what it's all about too. I mean, when we started this podcast cast off by saying we're here to ask the hard questions that nobody wants to talk about. And these are some of the hard questions that nobody wants to talk about because it's taboo. They've done a great job of weaponizing the human race. A really good job. I mean, you can't say shit nowadays without getting in trouble. Trans this, fucking Ukraine that, fucking shut the fuck up. Do some research, do some science. Just quit cramming your shit down my throat.
Mm-hmm. And it goes back to what we were saying the other week, Steve. They do that to harvest your energy and your attention.
Right.
And earlier we had to cut the podcast because I myself was getting sucked into something that is, I've got to constantly adjust my thinking and what I'm saying and what I'm thinking about, because even me on my journey, my spiritual awakening journey, I've still got to correct myself and remind myself, okay, don't get distracted. Don't get sucked into the playbook of, they're a shill, he's a shill, whatever. Right. Because that's just distracting us from what our true purpose is, and that is to come to Earth and realize that we are the young gods that we were created to be, in God's image. As it says in the fucking Bible. Hello, people. Can I get a hallelujah? I mean, it's all there. Doesn't matter what spiritual book. It's all in those scriptures. It will tell you that we are all made in the image of the Creator. So do you think God's going to be there going, he's a shill, she's a shill? Or, oh, what's the news today? Oh, someone ran over a donkey do you know what I mean? Not that I'm saying it's not important, but really, what's benefiting you in your life? And unless you run a donkey sanctuary, and maybe it will, but we've got to focus on what's actually going to improve our lives and give our energy to things that we know will do that. If that makes sense. If that makes sense.
No, it absolutely does. I mean, like we're talking about, some of these rabbit holes that we go down, and they all end up back to the spirituality aspect, right? So, and it is very true. I mean, it's not something you and I can sit here and tell the world on this podcast. It's not. It is literally something you'll never know unless you experience it yourself. And I'm happy to say I've experienced it many times in my life. Sometimes I knew about it. Most of the time I didn't. These days, in the last 4 years since the COVID hoax hit, I've definitely experienced it probably a lot more. And I don't know if I experienced it a lot more, if I just noticed it a lot more. Because I've noticed sometimes I'll do something really great, for whether it be for a lot of people. Just an example, I gave a homeless guy the shoes off my feet at a rally once, and I walked around the rest of the day with it in stocking feet, just because he needed them. And I found that the rewards that came with that weren't monetary, but they were so much better. They helped me out in a bigger way than money ever could have. But then I
Mm.
find things that, I mean, I've always been kind of an angry person my entire life. I'm working on that. I'm working on that myself. Those are my demons, and only I can fix those. But I find sometimes even now I feel myself slip, and I do something I'm maybe not so proud of. But I also know that the karma for that is coming if it didn't come right away.
Mm.
So all this stuff. We are spiritual beings. We are love. We aren't inherently evil. This is all shit that's taught to you. And who
Mm.
teaches you this? Well,
Mm.
your teachers teach it to you. The government.
Religion.
Wars, religion. Absolutely, religion
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Well, let's take Christianity. Let's take almost every religion. Either you believe in our religion and go to heaven, or you eternal damnation in hell. Okay, so
Exactly.
right there, you got the fear aspect. Oh, I better do this, or I'm gonna be
Burger.
my balls sucked off by demons the rest of my for all of eternity, right? Like,
Hey, don't threaten me with a good time.
right? Okay, but I mean, right there, you're told you're told at a very young age again, and it's all trauma based, right?
Yeah.
So why can't we flip that around instead of a trauma based system, have a love based system?
Hmm. Exactly. And that's my thoughts is we need to change the system, really. And how do we do that? We tried for years to do it through protesting, through shouting at the top of our lungs through a megaphone, through handing leaflets out, through marching, through trying to get like land and communities together. That's not to say none of that is valid, because it all is in the moment and in the time. But really, the most powerful way you can do it is by changing your mindset.
Changing yourself. That's exactly
Yeah.
it. You have to work on yourself, your inner
Yeah.
self. Nobody is perfect. And when you are working on your inner self and you're continuing on your journey, you're gonna fucking fall. You're gonna
Hmm.
fall hard. It
Everyone
won't
does.
Everybody does, but you got to pick yourself back up. You got to and start again. You got to remain conscious of your feelings. Like people laugh when I say there's so much truth in television, and one of the big truths in movies and television is Star Wars.
Oh
No,
yeah,
no.
I love Star Wars.
Oh well, who doesn't, right? But let me put this in perspective for you, so you can, so the people listening or watching can go on their own journey. What does the Emperor say when Luke Skywalker's fighting Darth Vader? That's it. Fear leads to hate. Hate leads to the dark side. It's the same
Feel
in
the
real life.
power of the Force,
If if
young
if if, if you
Padawan.
if you're living in uncertainty, exactly right. But if you're living in uncertainty, and uncertainty will lead to fear, and fear will lead to hate. Hate leads to your dark side, right? It's very true.
Yeah.
Watch your thoughts, because your thoughts become your words. Watch your words, because your words become your actions. Watch your actions, because your actions become your character. And watch your character, because that's your destiny.
Hmm.
So people should
Yeah.
remember that. And so it's, and believe me, I of all people know how hard this is. I told you I'm a very angry person. I don't know why. I'm fun to be around, but I can be very angry. I've got a really bad temper. But I'm working on that, and I find that it's not an easy thing to do, to work on yourself. But
Oh no, it's hard.
no, it's because you are your worst critique. You are your
Hmm.
own worst enemy. Nobody beats you up more than you beat up yourself, and that's I'm sure everybody listening to this knows this already. You have to work on yourself, and you have to love yourself before you can love others. And that's the trick. You have to love yourself. If you want to fix the world, fix yourself first.
Oh no, no, Burger. But the Bible says you cannot love yourself. That's satanic. You can't love yourself.
Then I guess I bow down to Satan if that's the case. That is absolute bullshit. I don't buy that for a minute. And that's the problem, is again, religion was for control. You do this or
Yeah.
you're satanic. I see. Yeah, I'm glad you got on that, because I'm going to walk you through a scenario here. This is an actual experience of mine back in 2020. 2021. When you and I first hooked up, Hammy, and started hanging out and doing our thing and working together, with the work I was doing in Canada, I had a lot of religious groups coming up to me, a lot of Christian groups, and I stopped dealing with them because every one of them said the same thing to me. We can get land, but we need your help. We need you to help us find investors and put the word out because you're so connected and you have all these groups and everything. And I was more than happy to do that for them. But then they started saying other things to me. And it wasn't the praying. They always wanted to pray for me. I even accepted that on occasion. A few times I let them pray for me. Why not? It could only do me good. But here's the problem: is they all said the same thing. We only want Christians. Now, this is why that pissed me off. So, like, they want me to help them invest or find investors to buy their land, but they don't want anybody coming onto their land that isn't Christians in line with their value.
Yeah.
Now, this is my problem with this. Why only Christians? I'm out here. I've grown up. I've grown up as a Pentecostal Christian my entire life. My entire family are Pentecostal Christians. But so if I'm out here helping everybody I can. I don't care if you're homeless. I don't care if you're rich. I don't care if you're poor. I have 170 groups on Telegram, even as we speak. And every one of those is designed to help people find health care, to find mental health, to find a place to live, to find a job, to find almost anything you can think of. I have a group for it. So if I could be out here helping complete strangers do with whatever their ailment is, then why can't the Christians help the same people? Why do they always have to be just Christians helping just Christians? And even those Christians helping just Christians still can't get along with each other because they have two different points of view on what Christianity actually is.
It's not.
How many denominations of Christianity are there?
It's not very Christian, is it?
No, it's not. Because, well, that's the point, right? Because people sit there and say, all these Christians are sitting there saying, "Oh, Jesus loves me. Jesus, this. We gotta go with love. Be loved, be loved." But when push comes to shove, and you need that Christian's love, they're like, "I'm sorry, I'm Christian. I can't help you." What the fuck? What the fuck shit is that?
And this is like the thing is, though, guys, right? Everyone watching, we're not anti-Christian, right? So get that out of your heads. But
don't get me wrong, I'm not anti-Christian. I'm just saying you have to be. You got to use some spirituality. You got to be professional. Be a fucking adult about it. Be a human being. Be compassionate. Be love.
Yeah, and that's the thing. These churches, these religious establishments, whatever. It's not just Christianity. It's religions in general, right? They get so one-way minded that they don't think about the bigger picture, and they don't think about the core teachings of their faiths and the people that started those faiths, what they were actually teaching, which was love, respect, and those are the core teachings. Those are what really matter. And do you think being judgmental and judging people and behaving like that is what those original teachers intended for those faiths? No, they didn't. But over time, over generations, mankind's greed and control changed the messages so that they would then become a controlled group, because they don't want humanity to reach the apex of what they're capable of being, which is loving, respectful, all-giving beings that we are naturally. From a child, that's what you are. You know, when you're a baby, you give your sister or brother the toy, and it doesn't even cross your mind. You're like, "Oh no, it's my toy."
A little white child playing with a little black child. There's no racism. There's no hatred there. That gets learned later on.
Yeah, it's like when I grew up in South Africa, right? And I grew up with lots of African children around me playing. I never once thought about the skin color. I never once thought about race. It was, they're just my friend. And Corsi's my friend. Like, I'm going to go around Corsi's house tonight. And, I didn't think about the color. And when you're a child, you're innocent. And that's how we're made, is we don't have those inbuilt thought patterns which are demonic in themselves. That is Satanism. That is well, I wouldn't say Satanism. That's those demonic structures being, or negative structures, should I say, being placed into society so that we don't live our full potential. And that is why this whole control system needs to be changed, because it's been that negative programming for too long, and it's playing out in all areas of life, through religion, through society, through finance, through schooling, through social structures, through everything. And basically we need an upgrade. It's like, humanity is like iPhone 3 or whatever. Where's my phone? Look at the time, bro. Holy
Nice.
shit. 22.
Yeah, I saw that.
Well,
23 now, but
wow.
I do that all the time, man. I get that all the time.
That's incredible. It's like an iPhone. Humanity's an iPhone that needs upgrading because it's way out of date, basically.
Yeah, well, and you're very right. And to touch on that a little bit too. I mean, this is why we're not told who we really are or what we really can do, because if somebody doesn't know who they are or what they are, then the person that does know who and what has more control over you. It keeps you suppressed. Because and this is what they've done. That we aren't told this. I mean, look at your pineal gland. It's calcified over. Probably 99.9% of people on Earth can't use their pineal gland. It's calcified over, right? So
they want you to be the slave that they intend you to be.
Right. Now, imagine what would happen if you could open that third eye. Then who would you be? Then what could you do, right? And this is so every system, everything on Earth is designed to keep you from knowing who you are. So actually, that was something else I was going to kind of touch on, is free will. Now, I know they say when you're red pilling somebody for the first time, never go full reptilian, but we're not going to go full reptilian, but we are going to get into something that sounds a little crazy. So
go for me with a good time, Steve.
Okay, so here's the thing. I'm not going to do that. There's too many people out there that are like rolling their eyes, right? But
oh shit.
But let's talk about free will for a minute, okay? So now again, we don't know this. Nobody knows this for sure, because we don't have the technology, we don't have the power, we're not the military, we're not the government. But the rumor is, okay, and again, this is just a theory. I'm not saying this is fact. This is for entertainment purposes only, okay? But here's a theory that I actually thought resonated with me. Whether I believe it or not is irrelevant. So I want to put that out there. But here's the thing is, I've heard that it really doesn't matter what the fuck you do in the 3D realm. It doesn't matter. You can rape, pillage, and murder. You can do genocide. Or you could be a really loving person. You could be a person that gets walked on all the time, or a very loving, giving, and caring person. It doesn't matter. But because there are forces at work that's I guess it's considered petty to them. But those forces, or we'll call it the higher power, God, creator, whatever you want to call it, has one rule and one rule only. And that is, don't fuck with free will. Do not fuck with the animals' free will. Do not fuck with the humans' free will. So what's going on now, from what I'm to understand, is they fuck with our free will. This is why we're going to have Revelations, end of days, because they fuck with our free will with the poisons, by coercion, by force, and now the mark of the beast, digital IDs, transhumanism. That's the big one.
Can I, Burger, can I quickly interrupt on that?
For sure.
For all you Christians out there, yes, it was the mark of the fucking beast. Okay? Now we put that to bed.
Oh, but it's not yet. That's where you're wrong.
It is,
not
mate.
Yet.
It is. 100%.
It is, but it isn't, and I'll tell you why. So the vaccine that all these people took, it's got the nanotechnology, but the actual mark of the beast is what's called as
Try not,
luciferase, and it's a
Burger,
triangle on your head or your forehead.
try not mention the C word in case this gets, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
Just call it, what can you think of a word that begins with a C?
Um,
The cookie.
Corvette.
Cookie.
You didn't get the Corvette.
The
Okay.
Corvette. Yeah.
Yeah. But so the Corvette that everybody took, it's got graphene oxide in it. It's got nanotech in it, and all of course all of that is satanic. And because you took that, according to U.S. and international law, or maybe it's just U.S. law, anybody that took that, their DNA has now been changed, which now makes you a GMO product. And notice I said the word product, because that's exactly what you are now. You are a product. So you no longer have free will as far as they're concerned. They forced and coerced you to take it. So now to make you a product, so now you have no free will whatsoever. So along with that, the mark of the beast, the actual mark of the beast, will be what they put in your right hand or your forehead. It will be a chip. It's called luciferase. It'll be in the what do they call it? A quantum dot. So it's like a tattoo. It's like I think like 110 needles that stick you in your hand, and you barely feel it. It feels like a mosquito bite. That's it. But that's the that there is the mark of the beast.
Sorry, 1 second. A weird noise just came from. Hang on. Okay, it was my dog.
So I forget what were we talking. Oh yeah, so free will. So going back to free will. So yes, in a way you're very correct. The Corvette, um, it's taken away. It's literally taking away your free will. So from what I understand, what's happening is we're about to see a lot of beings and creatures that we were told never existed. They're mythical beings. I'm thinking like things like giants, where mermaids, all sorts of shit. We're already seeing crazy shit and animals and creatures appearing all over the earth. If any one of you is any kind of a conspiracy theorist whatsoever, or as I like to say, conspiracy analyst, you know what's going on. You're seeing animals doing weird things. You're seeing weird creatures appearing. We can't explain. Some we can, some we can't. People are being silenced when they see these creatures. So from what I understand is these guys have literally fucked with our free will, and the powers that be, the people that they answer to, the beings that the governments answer to, that Satan answers to, they're pissed because you fucked with our free will, and they're coming, and there's a war coming, and that's, you think we're going in shitstorm, or we've already been in a shitstorm. We haven't seen nothing yet. There is a big shitstorm coming where most of the world will, I'm going to say it, gone, terminated.
Well, yeah, I mean, the world does go through cycles. This is another deep, deep secret. I won't name names or anything, but I've come across the knowledge that every 26,500 years, the world literally sets on fire
I heard that.
because the asteroid belt comes past, and this planet that's supposed to be called Nibiru or whatever, Planet X, whatever, is actually a body that, believe it or not, is in an encyclopedia from like the 1970s. It was in there. This celestial body called a brown dwarf body, and it was recorded. And the two NASA scientists that exposed it came out with it. They got killed literally within days of coming out about it. So let's just hope,
Well, I mean
me mentioning that.
that would explain all the deep underground military bases and bunkers that the elites have trying to
Yeah.
ride the storm.
Yeah, and that's what it's all. Okay, now we're going to go into some really deep shit, right?
All
Because
right,
I know people love the deep shit, and that's what we're here for,
right
right?
on. Bring it,
Right.
boy. Bring it.
This is the dots that I connected, and I don't think I've told you about this, Steve, right? But after my research about these two NASA scientists that died when they exposed this body in the solar system, there was a planet that wasn't recognized widely, but it does exist. It goes on an orbit that's 26,500 years, and that's why we haven't heard about it, because it's so ancient, this cycle. Like our planet has 365 days, right?
Are
This
you
has,
talking planet Nibiru?
yes, yes. And when it
That's where the
comes to,
Anunnaki are supposed to reside, I believe, aren't they?
apparently, yeah. And when it comes through, it literally rips the planet. It literally, the radiation and the heat from the fucking gravitational pull, it literally creates like an oven on Earth. And that's why the pyramids, one of them has black burn marks all over it. And that's why half of Egypt is like crumbling, all the old ruins. And if you go to Jordan, there's so you know, like Petra, the building that's in the stone, and you got like columns and then like the structure inside the mountain. It all looks melted. That's because the earth literally incinerated, right? And they know about this. They know it's coming within the next like 100 years, maybe even sooner. It's apparently overdue.
Well,
And that's
like
that's why they've been building in bunkers, and that's why they've been corvetting people to make sure the population's low enough so that they can survive when they come out from the bunkers, because there's not going to be enough food and there's not going to be enough resources, and it's only going to be the really wealthy that survive.
well, it's interesting that you bring that up because I heard something very similar. You know,
And Burger, sorry, before I forget, this ties in with chemtrails,
yes,
right?
yes, I know. I'm well aware of
Because
that. They're
I
hiding
I
it.
I thought chemtrails were to, okay, they probably could be to control weather. I don't know.
Well,
Uh,
the chemtrails do a lot of things. I mean, I've got a team actually that I'm working with on that exact subject. So
yeah,
the chemtrails, they're here to poison us, keep us docile. They're there also to hide what's actually happening in the skies. If you've seen
yes.
any videos recently, you'll notice a lot of people are showing two suns in the skies, right?
And what my theory is, Burger, sorry to interrupt you again, mate, but I got a memory of a goldfish sometimes, and I'll forget if I unless I say something.
Oh, good.
My research has led me to see that the reason they're spraying us, one of the reasons, they're spraying us on an industrial scale, is to protect the earth from the radiation and the heat when it comes back around again. Because last time, the civilization on earth at the time, which was Tartaria, they didn't have protection in place, and the world fucking melted, and 90% of the earth's population was incinerated, like bigger than a nuclear bomb times 10,000 level.
Right.
It was only people that escaped to the catacombs and the caves that survived. And those little pockets of people then developed into the Vikings, the Romans, the Greeks, the ancient Egyptians, the Sumerians, the Babylonians, those little tribal groups. And then they basically adapted the old buildings that were left over, like the pyramids, right?
Yeah.
And this is going to click so many dots for people, connect so many dots, right? Because it did for me. And this explains why technology was more advanced back then, before the pyramids, than it is now, and why we can't build the pyramids like they could back then, because we were super advanced back then. But they forgot about this cycle that keeps coming. And 26,500 years prior to them, they'd obviously not been aware of it like we are now. We're not aware of it. But I think this time, certain elites are spraying the atmosphere to protect it from the radiation when it comes down, and maybe doing other things as well while they're spraying. I don't know, but that makes sense to me.
Well, here's another thing too. Like I've heard a bunch of more than one, and I'm talking when I say a bunch, I'm talking like probably 15, 20 different whistleblowers. They've all remained anonymous, but they're saying that the top brass at the Pentagon are talking about the return of the Anunnaki. So the other thing that and I'm playing devil's advocate, but I mean here we are. We're always the last couple of years, 4 years, we've been griping about um, the NWO is here to take over. We're fighting them, deep state cabal, the vaccine, all that sort of thing. But if this is the case, if this is what you're saying, because you're not the first person I've heard this from. I've heard this from a couple other people as
Oh,
well.
really?
So,
Okay.
so what if the people in the know are, we'll call them white hats for the sake of argument. I don't really believe in the QAnon Trump thing, but we'll call them white hats just for the sake of argument, okay? So
Yeah.
what if there actually were white hats, and the reason they're poisoning us, and the reason they're forcing a vaccine on us is because it's a humanitarian thing to do. Because if they know that the world is going to get wiped out by this planet or whatever's coming, the humane thing to do would be like if your horse broke a leg, you shoot it in the head. Similar to us, it'd be more
Mm.
humane to let us die of a heart attack to with all these poisons or cancers and do it what they call a soft kill than to have this violently ripped apart, worse than the most worst, painful, hellish death you could ever think of when this happens. So
Yeah,
the vaccines and everything is it's a good thing kind of a thing, right?
and do you know what? I'm going to say something. It's going to be a bit controversial, but my research over years has led me to what you just said. That I think, although I would have gone about it differently, and I spoke to someone yesterday about exactly that. If I was to try and reduce the population, I'd literally ask people to volunteer and say, okay, would you like to, I don't know, what do they call it when people get like the snip or whatever? What's it called?
Like
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
not circumcised.
what's it called?
Oh, geez, dude, fuck.
Let's just let's just call it the snip, right? If you,
Okay,
I would have gone about it differently. If I was a leader of a planet, right, and I was like,
yeah,
okay, shit, our planet's about to fucking explode. We need to seriously get the population down so that we can survive what's coming. I would say, okay, let me be honest with the people and say it's gonna happen. Don't panic, right? But I need you all to just take all the men to get the snip, except for like 10%, so that we can maybe come out of the caves and
a
then
vasectomy.
vasectomy. That's it, and restart humanity. Unfortunately, you're going to have the snip, and I think surprisingly, a lot of people would agree. But then there's the chance maybe mass panic could kick off, and we've seen the movies. What was it? That fucking movie when the aliens come down and it had Tom Cruise in
Oh, War
War
of
of
the
the
Worlds.
War of the Worlds. We saw what happens even in movies, and to be honest, most people are like that. They're all sheep-minded. I'm not trying to be nasty, but that's just a fact. Not
Right.
everyone's like you and me, and
But
not
but
everyone, you know.
here's the thing too. Like um, another way that they could have gone about it too was, first of all, stop flooding the world with clones and bullshit like that. Stop, get rid of the satanic fucking, pop artists and movies and bullshit. Be honest with the fucking people. But I mean, here's the problem that I have with what you just said is
Mm.
they've spent billions, if not trillions of dollars on massive underground bunkers. And I'm not just talking like a home to last you for 20, 30 years for an elite family. I'm talking full on fucking people. Like millions of people could fit in these fucking underground.
Yeah.
They're literally cities.
Oh
So
yeah.
what?
Yeah.
Why would they just start getting everybody to the underground cities that we know are already there? I could almost guarantee if they got underground cities, they got cities under the water in the oceans. Research the Bermuda Triangle. There's a military base at the Bermuda Triangle with three massive fucking crystal pyramids under that water, all firing energy off. So they they could easily stop doing it this way and probably get at least 70 to 80% of the population underground, if not more, if not the entire population.
I don't know, dude. That's 8 billion people. That's a shit ton of people.
But are there really
That's
8 billion people? Who's giving us these numbers, right?
good point. A good point. That's the
And you
thing. It's
and,
hard to tell, isn't
and
it?
well, then let me put this in perspective for you. They say that 8 billion people on Earth could fit into a space the size of Manhattan.
Jesus.
So don't
Really?
tell me that we can't build an underground city to house 8 billion people. When they've already got it,
Uh,
they got fucking killer technology. They can build an entire city tunnel through a mountain in they're doing 2 a year. That's what they're doing.
dude,
They're doing these milligram they're doing these dumps 2 a year. 2
Burger.
dumps a year that they can build.
I've just connected a fucking dot. Why you just said that, dude? Holy shit! What are they building in Saudi Arabia right now?
The line.
Near the
And
line.
they're doing another one, I think in Chicago. It's called the Cube. Now think about that.
Holy
The
shit!
Cube. What do these people bow down to? They bow down to a black cube. The black cube of Saturn.
That's what they're doing. They're getting people ready to live in enclosed places.
Right.
Holy shit! I'm got goosebumps, bro.
15-minute cities, brother.
Yeah, they're conditioning the population ready for it, aren't they?
Well, think of how many electric scooters you see nowadays. You don't
Oh
think
my
there's a reason
god!
for that? Takes away your car, ride this fucking scooter that you rent from us to
So
get
that
around your 15-minute city
so
because you
that
don't need
people
a
that
car anymore.
yeah, because they're gonna be limited to space, so they want people used to being in tight little places,
Yeah.
which is why we all of a sudden started building skyscrapers as well.
Right.
Ooh,
There,
shit!
there's a there's a skyscraper in China that holds 30,000 families.
I heard about
Thirty
that.
thousand. Imagine if one day that just caught fire.
Yeah,
How many people would die in that?
yeah,
And you don't
very
think
true.
that's the plan? You don't think that's the reason they're building
Well,
up instead of out?
I mean, I don't, respect to the people that died. I'm not speaking badly about that, but was it the anniversary of 9/11 yesterday, wasn't it?
Today, for me.
Today, yeah. So we can see the risks of all those people being in one place.
Right.
You know,
Well,
I'm not
exactly.
gonna, I'm not
Another big
gonna,
thing.
I'm not gonna get into 9/11 because that'll get this whole video shut down. But
No, no, of course not. But I mean, another good point is what you just brought up. I mean, that's very relative. Exactly that. This is why they're putting. You see more apartments going up, big apartments now than you see houses being built because they're cramming you all. Where they're cramming us all into little pods, and then when they decide that they don't want us anymore. All they got to do is drop a direct energy weapon on our fucking asses from above. That building's gone.
I
There goes
mean,
30,000 people in one building, right?
yeah, that's. Do you know what? I was going to talk about Lahaina today, but I think we should do that on another podcast, Steve.
Yeah,
Uh,
definitely. That's
because
definitely what to do.
that's a whole
Lahaina.
show. That's a whole show in itself, dude.
I
Honest to
think
God,
so.
I think we should maybe even see. I'm gonna when we upload this to YouTube and the groups and whatnot. We'll see if anybody wants to come in and talk about that. Maybe someone from there who can give a first-hand account of what really is going down.
Well,
I'm sure. I'm sure we'd be able to find somebody.
I'm sure we can between the two of us, and also with that, maybe we should get somebody from the province next to me. They're in the exact same situation as Lahaina.
Yes, in Canada, that's right, isn't it?
Yeah,
Those trees just all of a sudden
yeah,
setting fire when you've got a huge lake in between them.
yeah.
Doesn't sound right, does it?
But there's been a lot of videos. I don't think that they were DEWs in Kelowna. I think they were actually just drones with flamethrowers on them because there's a ton of videos of drones with flamethrowers doing that too.
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. That's all. Honestly, that's going to be a good podcast. So people can tune in for that if we can get that one up.
For sure.
While we're on the subject of before I forget, on the skyscraper subject, right? This all ties in. This is another thing of my research that I've discovered. The Earth, it all ties in, right? Where we are literally a battery. The planet is a battery. It's a source of power. And I said that to you 2 weeks ago. That really, that deep down, if you go right to the bottom of the rabbit hole, that's what you'll find. Spiritually, we are all energetic beings, and every cell in our body gives off a voltage, right? And if you go on Google Maps right now, anybody who's watching this, go on Google Maps right now, go on Google Earth, and then go to, say, for example, I don't know, any city near you, and then zoom in, zoom out a bit until you can see over the city. Tell me what you see. Just do that, and then come back and let us know in the comments what you see. Because I want to guarantee you see something that looks just like that.
I'm going to have to check that out too. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that out myself.
What's that? What's that, audience?
Well, it looks like a motherboard to me.
And I guarantee you the city looks just like that.
Exactly. Well, then that's a whole new conversation as well, because now we fall into the ley lines, right? Why buildings are not just architecture, but landscape is built that way. I mean, look at the Vatican. It's shaped like a serpent head inside and out.
Dude, I have just connected another dot, Steve. Holy shit. Right. You know, they say the archons actually are the ones that are behind all this shit, right? Okay.
I haven't gone. No.
That's really deep. That's the real deep shit. Okay?
We're going to have to talk about that then.
Okay.
So I honestly don't even know what you're talking about.
That's another podcast. But the name of them is Archon. ARCH. Right? And you just said a word then, architect. Who are the ones that design the buildings? The architects. Archons.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, shit.
Okay, you're going to have to educate me on that, because I know little to nothing. I literally know nothing other than what you just told me.
Okay,
so I need
an
education from you, brother.
No worries, bro. That's another podcast. We're gonna. There's so many podcasts we got ahead of us.
Oh, I know. Like the material is never ending.
It's beautiful. I love it.
Totally. So I think maybe we'll cut this short then now.
Yeah, it's been amazing. I've really enjoyed this, dude.
I have too.
I wasn't expecting it to be this flowing and
structured almost.
I feel buzzing, you know, like it's coming from another source. I know it is. It's coming from the higher place, from our heart. And
I agree.
We needed to do this, and I'm so glad we did.
I am too. I'm really glad. So we're going to do this a weekly thing. I'll get in touch with you later on. We can decide a day. Let you know what my schedule is. You can let me know what yours is. And yeah, maybe next time we will, for those of you listening, you know, we're just kind of pissing around today, but I think maybe next time we can have a little bit more of an agenda and something structured. I think the fires are a good place to start with our next podcast, and we'll see if we can get some guests that on that were boots on ground and know exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's only going to get better. I can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys want to check out, we're going to start a channel on YouTube called the 5D Podcast. So that's the 5D, so number 5D podcast. Check us out. You'll find all these videos on there, and there's going to be hundreds and hundreds more to come, because I see this as my contribution to the world, and I'm sure Steve feels the same.
Absolutely.
And vice versa. You know, it's going to bring us amazing connections, and we're going to be able to offer so much to the world and back to us. You know, it's going to be an amazing thing, and offer a platform to speak about things that everyone's thinking.
And and something else, like, let us know in the comments as well, if there's a topic that you want to have discussed as well, and we'll be more than happy to do that. I mean, we are not running out of material anytime soon. And we
Oh,
always
that's for
welcome
sure.
your guys' creativity. We always welcome your knowledge. Like I mean, we're here to be adults and not get into arguments or fights. But if you disagree with us, then by all means, let us know. Maybe we can have you on the show, and we can argue our points. You can argue yours, and have a friendly debate about it. So we're just starting out, and we're open to many new ideas.
Exactly, and that's the thing, right? We've reached a level. Excuse me. Me and Berger have reached a level of respect and understanding with our friendship that I don't believe in flat Earth, right? Berger has different ideas and views, but I still respect him and his views. He's allowed to have different views and opinions. That doesn't mean I have to not like him or not agree with him. I agree that that's his view, and fair play to him, respect to him. This is the problem with the world, right?
Yeah.
Just because someone's got a different view about something doesn't mean you can't get along and respect each other and be friends. So hopefully we can offer an example to people out there that we can still communicate, even if we might not agree on everything. That doesn't mean we can't talk, and that doesn't mean we can't be friends and have a respectful relationship. So
Put it there, brother.
peace. Oh, peace, bro.
There we are.
No, it's been really good, Berger. Thanks so much, bro.
Yeah, no, thank you. This is awesome, man. I see great things happening here for us. So, yeah, let's wrap this up, and you and I will chat a little later.
For sure, man.
Take care. Have a good night.